So
Yay!
here we are. We're getting hearts already. So,
Yay!
hi, Tara. So I am Lauren.
Hi.
For those of you who don't know, I'm Lauren Van Hemer. I'm with RDU on Stage, and I am here with my friend and all-around wonderful human, Tara Nicole Williams. Thank you for joining me tonight, Tara. This is
Thank you
like
for
how I
having
connect
me.
with my friends. I have these virtual chats and then invite everybody in my followers list to just hang out with me. So,
It's a very intimate gathering. I love it.
so thank you everyone on Facebook who is following us. Tara and I, so Tara is a wonderful actress and performer, but she's also, I want to call you I don't want to even call you a shield maiden. I'm going to call you like an iron maiden because that's how I
Yeah, I got some Iron Maiden. We can listen to that right now.
Yeah, I'm ready to go with that. But you are a stage combat artist, a fight choreographer. You've choreographed some amazing fight sequences. Shout out to Freaky Friday because it was brilliant. If you guys got to see the North Raleigh Arts and Creative Theater production of Freaky Friday, there was some wonderfully choreographed moments that you did. Jess Barber did the choreography, and then you helped with some of those scenes. So, you know, that was one of my favorite parts of Freaky Friday.
Thanks.
When you and I spoke initially for the podcast, you were one of the first people I called. This is how good friends we are. We spoke at like 1 o'clock in the morning one night for the podcast.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't sleep anymore, and apparently neither do you. So, but when
me and the night are best friends now, apparently.
When we spoke at that time, your emotions were so raw and so real about this thing because you are one of the many artists who rely on this gig economy to make your living, and now a lot of these paid gigs are gone. So how are you doing today? Because the last time we spoke about this, that was like 3 weeks ago. How are you doing today as this whole thing is unfolded, this pandemic?
One day at a time. I mean, there's a lot of things that are out of my control right now. And I was very, the first kind of like 48 hours, I was just kind of in shock. And then there was a lot of fear and anxiety that lived in that space because I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. I'm still not entirely sure what I'm supposed to do. But I'm trying to find a lot of opportunities to find gratitude in the world, and I will owe a lot of that to my lovely friend Hayden Moses, because I was not okay, and bless that human for basically being like, let's try to find good moments in every day today. Let's find something that you were thankful for, something that was beautiful, something that made you smile. My friend Heather Sterland always asks, what brought you joy today? And so I've been asking myself that a lot, like what's bringing me joy today? And it can be big, or it can be just like, I had an extra pot of coffee ready to go because I woke up and I was smart enough to remember to set the timer on the cot, and that brought me joy when I woke up and I already had a pot of coffee ready to go. Like even just these small moments of like, you know, breathing, taking stock of what I do have. I mean, obviously I have no gigs and that puts me in a lot of financial risk, but I have friends and I have a support network and have an amazing art community. So I'm just going to do the best I can one day at a time, one moment at a time, and we'll see what happens.
Well, and I think I know that is how I am getting through this too. Just finding the gratitude in small moments. And it's not always easy to do, but I think that
No.
it's sound advice.
And I take no
All it
credit for
takes.
originating it. I take all of my friends are the reason that I'm able to do that now. Like they are the reason I am able to find such peace in such a crazy storm right now.
Yeah, it's just this really weird time for all of us, and especially the arts community. And I'm so grateful for these chats and the artists who come on to talk to me because I feel like it's keeping us connected. Literally, Grant said last night, you know, I don't feel like our lives have changed that much. We're doing what we do. We're kind of homebodies anyway. And I said, but I can't go to the theater. And he said, no, 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 honey, you're bringing the theater to you every day. So that's how I feel. Um, let's I want to talk about something interesting that I've been very mindful of as um, a mom is all education now. Wake County Public Schools, I think it starts Monday, is going to this online teaching model, which should be
Yep.
really interesting. But what's sprouted out of that is a lot of theater teachers have reached out to me about using the Are You on Stage
Mhm.
podcast as enrichment for their students and to incorporate that into their curriculum. Um,
That makes me so happy.
it makes me happy too, but I think something else they could weave into their curriculums right now is perhaps a conversation or a discussion or exploration about fight and intimacy choreography, because I know you feel very strongly that that should start at that high school level. One of your last gigs was working with the folks at Enloe on their production of Wonderland. So can you talk to me about, as teachers are navigating this virtual world of online learning, how they should think about working these kinds of topics into their lesson plans?
Yeah, I mean, I my background obviously is physical theater, movement, clowning, um, and it's an area of theater that gave me a lot of power as a person. And also with this new wave of intimacy direction and consent advocacy in professional theater spaces and professional film spaces, I think it's incredibly important that they learn early in their early academic and artistic endeavors that exists for them, and that they have the right to demand it of their workspaces, not just their theater spaces, but any space that they inhabit in which these concepts of boundary and consent are incredibly important. It'll also inevitably bleed into their personal and interpersonal relationships that they develop as they get older as well. So I am very much a believer that if you introduce the concepts, even in non-intimate theater, so even if you're not doing scenes that have kissing or touching that is more intimate as opposed to just familial or friendly, it's still a great opportunity to introduce the concepts, introduce the language that they get to use, that they have the right to use, give them ideas on how to develop that language. A lot of times we don't know how to voice our boundaries because no one's given us a model in which to emulate or try to figure out if that is something I'm capable of doing. I think then that completely works into the fight and theatrical violence realm, because it's just a form of storytelling, the same way that other physical forms like, you know, clowning and dance have power over building a more cohesive story than just two actors standing and talking to each other. That body interaction is incredibly important and creates a lot of great dramatic tension. So learning how to do that safely, especially a lot of times there will be situations in which they'll be asked like, oh, just go grab so-and-so, or why don't you just fall down here? And if they don't have the skill set to do that safely, they can put themselves and others at risk. But more importantly, if they don't know that that is a job that exists in their art form, in their theater, that they can hire someone to do that to keep them safe, then being introduced to that as another job, another area of theater that they can advocate for, they can do themselves. Like if they're really interested in it, there's pathways for them. But I think it's to fully immerse students early in these senses of body autonomy, consent, that I am in charge of my body and that my body is powerful exactly as it is built right this second. And to get that confidence, dive into really complex subject matters with their full hearts and their full excitement, but knowing that they're safe and that their community that is building them is all speaking the same language.
I agree, and I think
I could go on for hours.
No, I think it's really important, because I think when you're a young person, we're not always empowered to say what's on our mind. And when we talk about fight and intimacy choreography, we're not talking about actual punches on stage. We could be talking about something as simple as a touch, a kiss on the forehead, a kiss on the cheek. All of these fall under that umbrella. So I guess, can you define for me, for folks who maybe aren't aware, what are the parameters of fight and intimacy? And it's not the same thing. So a lot of fight choreographers are also intimacy directors, intimacy choreographers, but it is not the same thing. So we should say that.
No, they're two completely different skill sets. The reason that a lot of them are being paired, the reason a lot of it's paired together is because in a lot of productions, there are moments of intimate violence. And so that kind of like bridges the gap between an intimate choreographer and a, violence fight choreographer. But they are two different skill sets, and I have two different lanes in which I have navigated my training, especially because intimacy I have a lot more training now in like mental health first aid, conflict resolution. Like there's areas of that have nothing to do with the choreography. However, my background in movement and fight definitely do provide me a strong foundation for that work, but it's two different mindsets. And I speak to those two like hats. If I am hired for both, this is the fight hat, this is the intimacy hat, because my job is different. My advocacy is a bit stronger in intimacy in that I feel that I have a lot more power to like for the actor, that I have this like separate space for them that has nothing to do with the production. Whereas fights, I tend to just be brought in to like, let's make this fight look cool. And I'm like, great. But does it serve the story? Because this punch is great, but if it doesn't serve the story, it's a useless punch in the middle of a scene. So for those, I really am navigating the fight mindset, which is all about physical interaction that in the story tells a heated moment of some type of violence, whether that be pushes and pulls, slaps, punches, falls. It can be comedic violence, but it's still a moment of a body and push, like taking ownership of another body in space as a story component. That's when I'm like, I'm coming in to make sure that it's technically safe, repeatable, so that way no one gets injured in the course of a process. And then to make sure that what is built makes sense for the story that's being told, because you don't want this like super heightened realism, super gritty, realistic play, and then this moment of violence happened, which is just kind of like, like it doesn't serve the same tone, the same narrative, and it takes audiences from, oh, I'm invested in the story, to like, what is happening? And then the same with the intimacy. It's any interaction that has with it a sense of intimate closure, and that could be both physical and emotional, because there's lots of intimacy that happens before a character ever touches another character on stage. There's a lot of tension that is developed long before two characters ever kiss, or two characters ever touch hands, or two characters ever decide to act upon the feelings that are being built. So for me, it's, any moment in which bodies are clashing in space for heightened emotion, or any moment that bodies are coming together for deep emotion. That is, I am there to provide the safety barriers, the cohesive understanding, and the boundaries that are set for those actors to then wholly jump in headfirst into those scenes without worrying about, am I going too far on my acting partner? Am I violating something on them versus what is my character feeling? It basically allows for those conversations to have quickly, safely, efficiently, and then just tell some really cool stories.
Well, and I think having it be part of the story, that's really an intricate and important piece of this. It's not just fighting for fight's sake or for shock
No, because I
value.
mean that's cool. Like I've gone to plenty of shows where it's like the fights are there because they look cool and they've got great fighters on staff and it just rocks your socks. Like I've been in those productions, I have worked with those productions, and I have seen those productions and they are fabulous. I will never knock really good fight choreography for being really good. For me personally, because I don't come from martial backgrounds, I am not looking at it for its martial accuracy. I am looking at it for its story and through line. Because if my choreography doesn't impact the audience in any way, especially a character whom we are either falling in love with or a character we're really starting to despise, when they finally get to this moment where, you know, clashing is happening, if the actor has done all this really amazing work and the director has done all this amazing work and all the other production staff members are doing this amazing work to build this brilliant character, and then I put like just not helpful choreography on it, I have killed everything that they have built.
Mm.
And that does everybody a disservice when that happens. So my job is to make sure that I am telling that same through line, that I am building those moments, because who you are entering a fight is not who you are when you leave it. And if that story does not go from point A to point B for that character, then I have failed every person who's worked on that production, and I have failed every audience member. So I take that very seriously when I'm looking at any choreography. It's like, what is the impact that this moment in time is going to have on this character, and by default the audience.
And what's so interesting
I
about
think a lot about these things.
yeah, no. But what's so interesting about what you do is, if I go to see a play, so if I go to see Oklahoma, the new revival, which
Mhm.
is not my favorite, but I'm gonna only I can't think of anything else that comes to my mind. So if
I haven't seen it, so I can speak to it.
I don't even know why I'm bringing this up as the example that I'm going to give right now, but you know,
it's all right. I've done Oklahoma like 2-3 times now, so I'm here for you. Let's keep going.
Okay. So in the middle of Oklahoma and a lot of these classic shows, there's this weird ballet, which I never quite understood. Carousel has it, Oklahoma has it, the new revival of Oklahoma has it.
Ballets, yeah.
You know, these dream ballet sequence. And when you look at something like that, or you look at any play that has choreography in it, Kim and I saw The Wrong Man in New York when we were in New York in November. If the choreography is done well, if the dance is done well, you go, oh man, that choreographer is great. And you're looking up in your playbill, who choreographed this? What I find really interesting about fight choreography and intimacy direction is, if you've done your job really well as a fight or intimacy director or choreographer, your work becomes invisible. You don't, in my mind,
Yeah.
as a lay person, your work isn't getting the same billing or credit as the choreographer on that production who choreographed a dream ballet sequence. So
Yeah, it's one of those things that, yeah.
You know, it's like, if you did your job well, then the work is invisible, but you're not invisible. We still need to give credit to the artists who are behind this. So I guess, is it because the field is so new that we're not looking at fight choreographers and intimacy directors in the same billing as we look at?
I'm not, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I have the best answer to that question. I mean, fight choreography, like the SAFD, which is the organizational body that I take all of my certifications through, has been around since, I want to say, the early 70s, mid 70s. But a lot of that stems from the old school fencing styles, which is where a lot of the early days of theatrical violence stemmed. They were coming from these fencing schools. So like these fencing masters were coming in and, you know, teaching Errol Flynn and everyone how to do these great fencing numbers. Um, and then, you know, film takes advantage of a lot of martial artists and martial forms to help build their fight choreography. So it was kind of backward, because it was the actual skill set was brought in first, and then the theatrical part of it was like learned. And because intimacy, we're in our, like, I think intimacy direction as an actual like job mentioned in SAG-AFTRA and AEA and other union organizations, like I think they've only this year or last year established that those are jobs that are added now to the contracts of productions. So I mean, I am still in process training in those spaces. So we're still in our infant anyways. And I think, again, this is where it comes down to, if you aren't exposed early to fight and intimacy as a job inside theater, you don't really think about it as a job until it comes up in your productions. Like, oh no, oh, someone has to fall down a set of stairs on stage, because that's the whole joke of Act 2, Scene 1. Does anyone know how to do that? Is usually how it starts. And then over time, you develop those relationships with organizations and theaters who understand that is like their script. They look at their script and go, oh, there's a moment of this in here, that they'll look for those individuals. But when it comes to the invisibility of the work, I mean, it's one of those things where it's the highest compliment I can get if my work is not noticed in any reviews or in any productions. Like, if no one even noticed I worked on it, that is a really high compliment, in that my work was so seamless in the rest of the production, you didn't notice that there was something else. There was like a very specific skill or a very specific moment that was crafted and choreographed, and is like choreographed to the like breath of this piece. If you didn't notice that it fit so seamlessly in with the rest of the performance, that you didn't realize that that was all like completely scripted and worked through, then I did a great job. But I do hope that that will inspire productions and organizations and other artists to speak up for that kind of work, because it is relatively invisible compared to other members of a production team. Because obviously, when it's beautifully done, you know, you call that set designer immediately, because you're like, that work is beautiful and I need you. And I mean, we have amazing designers and choreographers in our community who their work just pops on a stage, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to work with this person. Your work is incredible. So I hope that what it inspires is artists and help each other and support each other, uplift each other. You know, I am very fortunate that I do have my little like fight family that I'm with. So a lot of times we really, you know, support each other and sing each other's praises, and, you know, advocate for each other in the work that we do. So it's one of those things where I'm like, I want to get recognized for my work. I worked really hard, but I'm very thankful my work is not noticed, because it means I did it well. Like when I am noticed, sometimes I'm always like, ooh, did I miss the mark on that? Did I do something wrong? Like, did it draw attention away from the production? Did I kind of mess it up somewhere? That's when I'm really like, all right, take note, take inventory, take stock, let's ask questions, let's figure out how I can improve moving forward. But yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I love that my work is not noticed. I would like my work and my fellow, you know, fight and intimacy people to be noticed. So
Well,
I don't know if there's a good answer.
yeah, and I mean, I think it's important to note that this is a growing field. Shows like The Deuce, HBO shows, HBO now, I think for all of their shows, right, are bringing in intimacy choreo.
To my understanding now, yeah, there's Alicia Rodas, who is one of like the founding people for intimacy coordination for film. Yeah, I mean, like she pretty much wrote the book that is
Yep.
working on films for intimacy. And it was HBO that gave her the platform to do that. And because there were specific artists that were working on that show that advocated for the necessity for it. And she just came in and was like, this is leaving my mark on this. So yeah, it's,
And then, right. And then last season on Broadway, we saw the first intimacy work with Frankie and Johnny, right? Or
yeah, Claire Worden worked on that piece and it was beautiful. I was very fortunate to see, oh, I got kitty friends. I was very fortunate to see one of the final productions before it closed, and it's not, I'm gonna admit, it is not my favorite play. I do not like it as a play, and I haven't liked it since I first read it, I think in college. But the intimacy that was designed in that show was so beautifully done that even who like gets a little like when I see people kissing, like I'm always like, oh, what's going on? I was so completely just drawn into these characters' lives and what they were doing and how they were. I mean, like I was seeing actors whom I greatly adore relatively nude for a period of time, and it was so well executed and so flawlessly integrated into the scenes that it wasn't until intermission that I finally had like caught up to the fact that I'd seen like a lot of intimacy at the top of this play. I was like, oh, that's right. They were naked. There was a lot of kissing. There was simulated, physical contact on stage. I was so engrossed in the story that I just it didn't even click. And I was looking out for it. So like, yeah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
What's very interesting to me right now is we are in this weird time of physical distancing and social distancing, and I get it. I'm for it. Stay home. We want this to end. So please stay home and
Yep.
do your part. That's why Tara and I are doing this virtually. But I guess a question I have for you is, because so much of what fight and intimacy choreographers do, and so much of what you do with stage combat has to do with physical contact, as we move forward past this pandemic, is this going to change the conversation of how we approach fight work and consent and contact when we get back to it, when we do shows?
I would wager a bet and say absolutely. I think the way in which we will interact with each other have to have new understandings on how to devise work in which we cannot make physical contact with each other. So learning how to be just as effective storytellers when contact is not possible, which I think we should have been doing long before this, but we're definitely be paying more attention to that. But I think even more importantly, we're going to really have to build community conversations around consent and boundary work after this, because I speak in the general we, and obviously I'm generalizing. As a community, we tend to be so touch communicative to start with. Like a lot of us like to hug and kiss and interact with each other physically just as humans, and how we just say hello and that we care about each other. As a society, like right now, we are more touch starved than normal, in that for some people who don't have people living with them, there's a real tactile physical isolation for individuals who've only been around certain family members or roommates or other relationships. That touch has been their primary touch. So then suddenly being able to go out into the world and hug and kiss and interact with our friends and our colleagues, because I think a lot of times we forget that, like, when we're at work in the theater, like that is we're at work, and this is our colleagues. And like it's just like if I was to go down to work at like a tech firm, this isn't the building I work in, these are my colleagues and coworkers, and we already have such an unusual relationship because we're so touch focused. I think it's going to be incredibly important that as colleagues and as companies, we really do build a very strong understanding of what consent and boundary, what can like community touch looks like. So that way we aren't bending, breaking, violating boundaries of another person, or the person doesn't feel like they have to strip away some very importantly held boundaries for them for the sake of kind of, tamping down that starvation that we're all feeling. Because I know that I am very like, I just want to hug my friends. But at the same time, going from 0 to 60 is going to be a lot of stimuli, a lot of information very quickly. And it's going to be incredibly important that we navigate that space together, we communicate that space together, because we're going to have to relearn a lot of our social interactions with each other post, isolation and pandemics. We're going to have to learn
upon re-entry.
how to
That's
be
what I
kind
keep
and
saying.
with each other.
Upon re-entry into the world.
Yeah, it's upon re-entry. It's like we've been floating. Yeah, we've been all floating up in space, and we've been isolated in our own little space suits. And now we're going to re-enter back to Earth and take our spacesuits off, and it's going to be a lot. And for some people, the world has already changed for them in a very scary, very real way. I can't imagine what it's like to live in a world in which someone you love has been hurt by this. Like, I am very fortunate right now that like my primary group of humans are all safe, but for many of my friends and distant acquaintances, like their world has been impacted, and now they're gonna have to re-enter the world in a new space. And it's gonna be incredibly important that we're kind and we take our time with rebuilding those intimate and physical relationships again.
I totally agree, and not to get too deep for Saturday night, because I know we have a lot of people online with us right now, but I think
I know, it's like, let's get deep.
all right, guys, I promise we're going to do show and tell, and we're going to do a little bit of movement in a few minutes, so stick with us. But I do think there is some trauma associated with what we're going through right now. And I'm hoping that people deal with that trauma and grief and loss and everything we're feeling as a community, all of these emotions. I'm hoping people deal with it. I mean, I'm certainly not a doctor, so I'm not pretending to be, but I hope people lean on each other and seek professional help if they need that. Okay, can we please do some show and tell? Okay, we're done.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't know Tara Nicole Williams, and you have a whole fan club on here right now, but so a lot of people do know you, but you have some cool toys.
Oh, I do. I brought some of them out because honestly they've just been very lonely and they wanted attention. So I'm gonna welcome to my living room. I was like, I have like some birds and things that I was like, they need some love, they need a little bit cleaning. This is one of my favorite swords. It's my hand and a half. It is known as, excuse my language, it's sometimes known as a bastard sword, because it's a hand and a half and not two full hands. That's for all you swords out there. But it's stage safe. It's not sharp or anything like that. I've got a bunch of knives out here as well, because I'm that kind of person. Just all theatrically safe. I got a butterfly knife somewhere over here. Oh yeah, I got one of my butterfly knives. But they were lonely. They wanted a little bit of love and attention. I've got a shield down there. My whip is over there. Yeah, but also like, you don't need high quality stage combat weapons to have fun and have a good time. That is not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that I am a nerd. I've spent money on fancy shiny things, but like, you could literally fight with like a spatula, just a plastic spatula. I've got a butter knife from my drawer. I've got like a metal one half of a chopstick, but like, you could literally find anything you want to fight with. But of course, the best and most lethal weapons are these.
Well, and what I love
So
about this is, so Jess Barber, and she was on here a few minutes ago, so I don't know if she's still following, but she gave us the TikTok famous primer. So she gave us TikTok
yep.
101 a week ago or whenever that was. And so you are going to give us TikTok 201 and teach us some movements. And then
Yeah.
you want people to engage with us. So hopefully you're all ready to get up and move a little bit. And then we're going to ask people to tag
Yeah.
on TikTok and respond to your fighting. So I'm going to get up. I'm going to move my chair.
Sounds great. I know nothing about TikTok, but it's gonna be great. So yeah, like just like find space wherever you can. Obviously, everyone's home is a little different. Like this is literally all of the space I have. So use your advantage. The biggest thing is like get up and move every day, even if it's just for a few minutes, because the body needs it, the soul needs it. Just move around. So I was looking kind of at something fun we could do, and I give full credit to my fight family and Stage Combat Academy in North Carolina for helping me come up with this idea. I saw some other friends and colleagues in different areas of the fight community around the country who have kind of done this whole like what I would call is like basically like a duel challenge, or like I challenge you to a duel, in which they're taking some fight choreography and putting their side of the fight up, and then their friends can respond to the fight however they want, and then they'll basically just start bouncing those challenges out to different people. So that's kind of what I want to bring to everyone here, is a little bit of a fight, teach a little bit of technique, and then, or pseudo technique, and then just go and challenge your friends. Especially because for a lot of us, our friends, we can't be in the same space with them right now, and generally all of my fight work is another human being in space with me. So this is as close as I can get to fight interaction with my friends, and I hope it will bring you a little joy and excitement and a little weirdness on a Saturday evening. So what I would like us all to start with is what I call is the on guard stance, or your fighter's stance. All that is take your dominant foot and put it forward. Non-dominant foot puts behind you. Think about like you're on railroad track. So one foot's on one railroad track, the one's on the other one. You don't want to be on like, you know, little tightrope. You want space. You want good strong foundations. You want your weight in the middle of your body because you want to be able to access either leg at any moment without worrying about getting yourself stuck underneath yourself. So let's just get in like a nice, like, yeah, we're gonna go and have a fight. Bouncing around, getting some energy moving. What I want us to start to do is just like move around the space in this kind of bent knee, on guard space. So what I want you to do is take that front foot and take one step forward, and then bring the other foot to join it. And then I want you to do the same thing by taking a step back, other foot joining it.
Okay.
And we're just gonna go back and forth. So one, step together, back, forward, back. Now I'm not gonna bore you with all the technical skills, but basically what you are doing is an advance and a retreat. Way to go. And that's basically, I mean, this is like the foundational movement in which all other fight then develops its life. We can also do a pass forward, pass back. There's like 6 other names for it, but basically it's just stepping forward, stepping back. So if I'm right foot forward and I take a step forward onto my left foot, I've passed forward. Same thing if I take my left foot that was now in front and I pass it back to behind me, I've passed it back. But that's all I have to do. Either stay on the same side with my right foot forward, left foot back the whole time, or I can pass. And now I can do it the other way. Look how fancy I am. And extra.
All right.
And that's all I have to do. I can get a little fancy and I can start stepping side to side. Yeah, yeah. Get a little capoeira action going on. That's all I gotta do. That's all I gotta do. Super easy. At your own pace. You don't have to go super fast. You go like, doom, 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 doom. You can go super slow. You can go as slow as you want to go. Doesn't make a difference to me. So long as you're having fun, get a little 2-step action, get a little dance party in there if you want to as well. Go for it. So that's kind of our primary footwork. Obviously, there's a lot more technique to it, and happy to teach a technique class, but we're just here to have fun. We're not going to get bogged down in the. So with that, we have hands. So my feet can move great, excellent, but I need my hands. My hands can do a couple different things. They can protect myself, which is called blocking. My hands can also defend and attack. So they can punch. We can make different kind of punch shapes. We can go up and down, left and right, straight ahead. Yeah, we have a lot of options. We can also use our hands, open hand. We can pop on somebody's body. Got a lot of attack options. And what I like to think about when it comes to what we attack is when I am working with people in space, we are attacking the muscles. I am not attacking joints. I'm not attacking bones. I'm not attacking soft, squishy things that could break easily. I'm attacking big old muscle groups. And the part where the shirt, so you can see, this is a brilliant muscle group right here, my bicep, tricep. It's a good place to go because if something goes wrong and I hit that muscle group, it's just gonna leave me a really good bruise. But we get the luxury of not having another body in space with us. We just have our screen to worry about. So I get a lot more variety in how I want to attack muscle groups because there is no muscles here to deal with except my own. So I want you to think about attacking the body in quadrants. Upper quadrant on the right and left side, lower quadrant on the right and left side, kind of like where your muscle, like your the middle of your quad, where your thigh is. So I can attack on any of those quadrants. High, high, low, low. So what I want you to think about is just, we're gonna have open soft hands right now. I want you to try to hit the muscle on the arms and then hit the muscles on the legs. So let's get into our stance. Get ourselves in, we kind of want to have our fists up to protect ourselves, just in case someone comes after us, gotta stay protected. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my dominant hand and I'm gonna hit that quadrant that's on the same side as me. Excellent, and I'm gonna bring it back. And then I'm gonna take the other hand and hit the other quadrant on that upper side, that arm, and then bring it back. And then I'm gonna hit the leg, boom, and I'm gonna bring it back. And then I'm gonna take the hand on the other side, boom, hit the leg, and bring it back. I can turn those floppy hands into fists and do the same thing. So I can, boom, hit that quadrant, bring it back. Other side, hit that quadrant, bring it back. Lower side, I can hit that quadrant, I can bring it back. And I can hit that other quadrant, boom, and I can bring it back. Now that's weird to punch somebody in the thigh, but you know, we're setting you up to a fancy world in which you can use swords. Ting, 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 ting. So if we think about those quadrants, those 4 quadrants, those are good places to attack because they're also super easy to defend. Because if someone was going to attack me on this side of my body, the last thing I want them to do is hit that side of my body. So I defend myself. And I blocked it. So if something came toward me, it can't hit me because this arm is in its way. Same for the other side. If something's coming from this side, boom, I can bring it up and I can defend myself. This strong arm is going to protect me against all sorts of woes in the world. Body, boom, I can bring it down and defend myself against some attack on the lower side. Other side, boom, I can defend myself, keep myself protected at all costs. I can also be extra fancy and like cross my body and use my arms in opposite ways to protect myself. But all I'm doing is building a wall that protects me. If this is what's being attacked, I need a defensive barrier to prevent it from being attacked. So I want you all to get back into your boom, artful stance, get a little bounce action going on here. Now, just like before, when we're starting with that dominant hands forward, that side of your body is going to get attacked. So boom, we're going to block and defend ourselves. And then we're going to come back. And then something's going to attack me on the other side. I'm going to block, boom, and then defend myself. Excellent. Then on my lower side, something comes for me. Boom, I'm going to block and defend myself. And then I'm going to come back to fight again. And then something tries to get me over here. Boom, I block and I defend myself. Now I'm ready to attack again. How's that for you so far? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Like a goddess fighter?
I
Yeah, great, excellent. I love it. I love it. You're doing great. I hope everyone else is having fun too. Obviously, this is a very, simplified version of events. And because we can get into a lot of complex detail about style choices and different, what these blocks are all called, and they all have names and they're all fancy. And if you want to learn more about that, I highly recommend you do. But again, this is for fun. So we've been able to attack and we've been able to defend. And you're probably already doing something that you don't realize you're doing, is that you're starting to remove the target from the attack. Because if something's going to hit me on my shoulder, I'm not going to leave my shoulder here to get attacked. I'm not going to be like, hey, you should hit me on the shoulder. Defend myself. I'm going to go, you can't have my shoulder. I'm going to give you something else instead. And now I've defended myself. I could also just get out of the way. Same thing applies. If I remove the target, you can't attack my target. So that's kind of the basic gist of what we're going to build upon. There's also attacks to the head. You can defend yourself high, and different other areas. You can also like avoid things, going different directions to get out of the way. We can do a little bob and weave action. So yeah, cool. This is really interesting to do when there's no one else in the room. It's kind of hard to gauge where students are in the process. And I will say that just like, that's like meta teaching for a second. It's like, it's a very interesting thing to recognize as a teacher, kind of not having that instant stimuli of like the response is very interesting.
It's kind of cool, huh?
Kind
of interesting. It works.
Yeah, I was like, I'm always like mildly I'm always like mildly meta teaching, like, what's going on? So excellent. So I would love us to try one more type of attack. All of these attacks that I was kind of teaching you how to do on these 4 quadrants, what you're actually learning how to do is you're casting the energy. So if your hand is like ending up reaching towards your camera, it's because you're casting your energy towards the camera and not in to your partner, which is what you would do for stage. Especially because, your other person is in the room with you. Obviously, we don't have that person in the room with us, so I could completely go through. However, if I were to attack like this and my friend defends, we aren't telling each other the same story anymore because I went through, but they defended. So if I attack and keep my energy out here and they respond by blocking, it looks like they were able to defend themselves. Which is just what I'm going to make you all think about when you get choreography, that what story are you trying to tell? If I do this, then my partner better react with a good old face snap as they got slapped in the face. So I want us to do one more type of attack. So again, we've been casting the energy past our partners. I want us to do an attack where we go through our partners. So nice big old slap. Wave to your friends. Hey, how you doing? How you been? I've missed you. It's been so long since I've seen you in the same room. From there, I take that blade and I go straight across my friend's face. In this case, it's my face in the camera. I'm going straight across. Boom. I can do it backhanded as well. Take my hand and go boom the other way. I can go boom, 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 as many times as I want. I can take my left hand and I can do it too. Boom, 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 boom. It's very dramatic. I could also probably like smack them in the midsection. I could go boom, boom, boom. That would really hurt if someone just like whacked me right there in the midsection. I can do it with my left hand. Boom, 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 boom. It's very exciting. I love it. It's super exciting. I can also go on the 45, so I can get my hand up here and I can go down and across, basically coming straight through my body on the 45-degree angle. I can go here and go boom, and I can go from the low and I can go high up, boom, and I can do it with my left hand. Nice and high, let my partner know I'm coming down, boom, and then the other way, boom. I don't know why boom has become the new word for me, but I really like it. I'm really enjoying this.
You're like Emerald right now. Bam!
Bam! Bam! Let me just cook you some violence real fast. Bam! If anyone didn't know me before this and they're like, she's intimidating and serious, they'll find that I'm really awkward and goofy, and so they've learned a lot about me. So yeah. So go down and up on that 45. We can go across the bodies on either way. Obviously, if someone's going to try to smack me in the face and I didn't want it, the place I can go is I can duck and come back up, or I can step back and come back. Either way, if something was coming towards my face, I don't want it coming towards my face. So if you want to think about a little bob and weave action, in that fighter stance, the reason our weight is in between our feet is so that we can easily pick up our feet and go anywhere we want to go at any time for any reason. We don't get stuck anywhere. So if something was coming at my face and I wanted to get back, I can do that retreat thing where I can get back very quickly and move my face out of the way. Or if for whatever reason I'm not in a good place to step back, boom, I can duck and I can come back up. It's very dramatic, very exciting. You'll get your squats in, no problem. So what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that swipe is coming across your face that we were doing just a minute ago. And I want you to take a step back and move your face out of the way to avoid it. So remember, we're removing our target from the space. So face and then step back. Ready? Swipe, get out of the way. Come back. It's coming back the other way. Get out of the way. Whew. Come back. Alrighty. Oh wait, no, I can't step back. I'm in a situation in which my furniture is too close. I have to duck. Alrighty. It's coming. Duck. Whew. Get back up. Whew. Whew. That was good. Oh, it's coming back again. Duck. Whew. Whew. All right. Excellent. Most important thing about a duck, don't look down, because then your partner can come after you. So keep your eyes on the partner. Duck, keep your eyes up. You're ready to fight again. How are the squats feeling for you? Just a couple of them.
Feel good.
How are we doing? How are we doing?
It's like the
Yay, excellent.
workout.
I mean, you know what? People forget how much of a workout fight choreography is. I hope you're having fun. And biggest thing is I hope that you're anybody can do this. Like anybody. And I mean that both anybody and anybody can do this. There's no wrong way to do this so long as it is safe and so long as you're not hurting yourself, or when we finally get back in the same room with other people, your partners. So long as no one is getting injured in the process, your body is perfect for this work. So we got a little bit of technique in us. If you're feeling super fancy, add a weapon to this. It's the same thing. I'm still sending that energy past. If I'm swiping through, I'm going all the way through. There's a lot of technique that comes into using weaponry on stage that, again, I don't really have to worry about because I'm not in the same room with my partner. But again, if you find that interesting and you want to learn sword fighting, knife fighting, things like that, I, again, highly recommend you find a professional to teach you the techniques and safety that's built around this, apart from just the fun on-screen version.
With a partner.
I didn't catch anything you said, but you laughed and that made me laugh, and that was all I got.
No, what I'm saying is don't try this at home with a partner. Try this at home solo.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I'm like, don't try it at home. Wait, no. Try this at home by yourself without a partner in the room with you. If you want to add a partner into the room with you, seek professional helpers. Anyway, so back to the story. Very exciting story. So that you kind of have a general, some basic moves you can do. There's a lot of other fancy moves you could learn, lots of really cool fancy tricks. If you just happen to be someone who knows a really cool trick to do, like because you have a background in gymnastics or you like baton, or me, I was in winter guard for a long time. Like if you've got random skills, take advantage of those. Find a broom, spin and get crazy, have fun. There's no wrong way to do this. The biggest thing that all of this is building up to is storytelling, which is what all fight work is just storytelling. How do I tell my partner and the audience what's happening? Unfortunately, both my partner and my audience are here, this lovely screen. So I get to have full creative control over what happens in my side of the fight. And so therefore, when I challenge someone to a duel, all they see is my side of the fight. And that gives them endless creativity to come up with their side of the fight. So my side of the fight, what I want to do. As an actor, I really love playing an injury, and I really love attacking and hitting someone very hard. Very hard.
So we can capture your side of the fight. I'm going to turn my camera off momentarily so that we can have the.
Oh no! I'll record. I'm already have it separately recorded so that you can use it.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, you're good. So I'm teaching everyone the same side of the fight so that they can just kind of learn how technique works. But like, then I'm giving everyone, gonna record this side of the, then they have creative license to do whatever they want for their side of the fight. And I like to make these small, so they're called phrases. They're called phrases, and it's usually the number of moves in a phrase. It can be like 2 moves or 10 moves in a phrase, up to you. We're gonna start easy because we're learning how to communicate with each other without being in the same room with each other. So because my favorite things to do as an actor are to get hit and to hit really hard, I'm gonna incorporate both. And the great thing about camera acting is that the camera can pick up a lot of things that on stage I would not have been able to do it effectively, which is super fun. I'm taking full creative advantage of the technical skills that I have in front of me right now. So I'm ready to get into a fight with someone, but I have to challenge them to a duel. Hey, you. I challenge you to a duel. Excellent. It's very important. Be as creatively dramatic as you have to be for dueling. It is very important that it is creative and dramatic. Otherwise, I challenge you to a duel is I don't know if I said. So I challenge you to a duel and I accept myself. So I'm gonna get into my cool fight position because it makes me feel cool. What I want to do is I'm going to do 2 attacks, a defense, and then I'm going to get hit in the face. And what I want to do to make sure that I do that safely is that I don't tense my body up and I don't shove my head to the direction of the response. I don't want to actually hurt myself and give myself whiplash because that'd be really awkward to explain when I go to the doctor after this. Like, how'd you give yourself whiplash? Oh, I was fighting myself in camera. It'd be a very interesting experience. So back into getting into the space, nice and loosey-goosey, nice and relaxed. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to take my dominant hand that's forward and I'm going to punch straight out. And then I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna take my non-dominant hand that's behind me. I'm gonna open up the door for myself so that my partner, who's gonna be on the screen, can see this big old punch. And I'm gonna circle all the way through. So my partner can decide whether or not they duck or receive that punch. It's up to them. But I'm going to, again, for that first move, I'm going to punch straight forward. That second one, I'm going to come all the way around. I'm then going to take that arm that just swung all the way around, and I'm going to step back and block. Now, my partner can decide exactly what they did, but they know that I am protecting this part of my body. So whatever story we tell together includes this part of my body. So putting those first 3 moves together, I've got to punch straight forward with that dominant hand forward. I come back, I take that non-dominant hand, and I come all the way through the partner's face. Again, they can decide what they do with that information. And then I take that same hand that just punched, and I block to protect that part of my body. In this case, this is my left arm. But whatever your non-dominant arm is for you. And then I protect myself. From there, I'm going to push down, laugh, ha ha, and then something is going to attack this side of my face. So I'm going to go boom, push down, ha ha, boom, out that side of my face. And this is a great moment because the camera can capture a lot, that I can really enjoy this acting moment because the camera can see all of my emotions right there. So nice and slow, putting that all together. I've got my dominant hand punching straight out. It comes back. My non-dominant hand circles around. Oh no, I have to defend this arm because this arm is now exposed. Boom. I push down. Ha ha. Boom. And I can get hit in the face. The thing about film acting is that generally we don't make noises because film editing does that. So if you happen to be really good at film editing and you want to add sounds and all kinds of things to it, yes, do, please, that's great. But if you don't have that ability or you want to make practical sound on your body, you can do what is called a nap. K-N-A-P, not an app, a nap, K-N-A-P. And it's just the sound that you make against your body. I don't know if you can hear it's on, but G major muscle group, and we'll make a sound. So if I want to add sound to that hit, I can do punch, cross, block, and I can hit expression if you want to do that or not. But the big thing is I got a mic so I can make vocals. So putting that together with vocals, I can do some sort of whew, ha, ha, ah, ah, ah. I can act as much as I want because I have to do that. So take that tiny little phrase, only a couple moves. You can make any sort of response to that story that you want. But your side of the fight, especially if you want to take this side of the fight and record it for yourself and then send it to a friend of yours to go out, do that. It's great. Or if you want to take my side of the fight and find your own response to it, even better. I love it. So putting it all together as actors, we're gonna go nice and slow because this is only our first rehearsal. We're not a final performance yet. First we have to challenge each other to a duel. So I challenge you to a duel. Excellent. First it's a dominant punch. Then that non-dominant punch. Oh no, defend the arm. Push it down. Oh. I'm fine. It's fine. We're fine. Okay. So that is my little bit of choreography, a little bit of basic movement. I hope that was fun. There's so much more that we could talk about. And there's so many techniques that I didn't even start to cover that I hope people would be interested in continuing to learn once we get back into spaces in which we can be in the same space together. But I'll record that and I'll send that to you so that you can put it up on the TikTok and any other social media you want to do. But basically, yeah, like it's basically a big game of telephone.
What we're challenging you is respond to your side of the fight. So what you record, people can record their side.
So what I record, you respond. So you figure out how you review. Mention you again. You respond. You figure out what your response is when I defend myself, when I laugh at you, and then when I get hit. Like what did you hit me with? How hard did you hit me? Did you surprise yourself when you hit me? Were you real happy you hit me? Were you real sorry that you hit me? Because again, like this is all based on like acting and storytelling. So you can make any story you want. It's limitless. There's limitless possibilities.
I'm going to open it up to questions. So if you have questions, you can comment on Facebook, and I'll read those questions aloud to Tara as we're kind of finishing up. But I asked you this when we recorded the podcast. What can we as a community do to support our local artists as we're navigating this pandemic? Because so many artists like you are hurting right now. I mean, this is tough. This is you know, it's not like you lost a job and you qualify for unemployment, or you lost a job and you qualify for COBRA insurance. The gig economy is not friendly to artists who live in it and work in it and rely on it. So what can we as a community, as a public, do to support our local artists?
Whatever you are capable of doing, I promise you, is so appreciated. Because I know some people are really stressed out because they're like, oh, well, I want to be able to financially support my friends right now, but I can't do that because I myself cannot financially support them and continue to do what I need to do for myself. So like, money is great. I definitely say like, if you can support your local theaters and artists, please do. But if you don't have the means to do that, you want vital to the health and success of our art community if you cannot financially contribute. Obviously there's great organizations right now who are trying to create financial stability for artists. There's the Visual Art Exchange is hosting the NC Artist Relief Fund, and I know that there's one for Durham and Orange County as well. There's obviously national ones as well. So if you do have the financial means to either donate or support, please do. I had friends who literally come over and dropped off some groceries for me, which I cannot express how, like, people who know me know that I am very awkward at asking and receiving help, but I cannot say how thankful I am for that little bit of kindness for those who are able to do that. I mean, what you're doing right now is like you're using a platform you've already built for our community and just letting our community stay active with each other and in their own art while all this is happening. So like, if you have the ability to create, if you have a platform, to open that platform up for other artists, do that, because you're very fortunate to have a platform. And I would hope that because you are a member of our community, that you continue to advocate for each other in that community. But the biggest thing and the number one thing I will say that I expect everyone in my community to do is to vote. If you are not yet signed up to vote and you need help, call me. Like, I will set you up to vote. Don't you worry. My high school civics and economics teacher literally signed everyone up to vote when we were all 18, when I was still in school, and I will forever thank him for that, because I got my voter ID card 2 days after my 18th birthday. So if you need help setting up to vote, I'll help set you up. And if you can vote, vote. And vote. Really think about what it is that our community is struggling with right now. What are those areas that we are seeing our artists falling through the cracks, and vote for an individual who aligns themselves with both the community and those goals. I will not say who you should vote for. I think everyone is well informed enough to make their own opinions, and I will never shame anyone for any opinion they make, but I really do hope that my community will rally both, not just nationally, not just like who our next president or major players in our nation's government, but also our local government. Look at your local representatives, your local council members. Make sure that those individuals who are in those spaces already are doing the kind of work that you think is necessary for our community. And if they aren't, when it's time to vote, that you vote for those individuals who will. That's my 2 cents.
I love that. So get out the vote, people. This is, register, inform yourselves. We all have a lot of time on our hands right now, so you can read up on candidates' platforms and find out where they stand on things, where they stand on arts funding. I think it's important.
Yeah, and more than arts funding, because we're also looking at healthcare, we're looking at housing, we're looking at, there's a lot of areas that our gig economy artists are all like in their unknown spaces. And obviously, many of us don't qualify or can even file for unemployment because we never technically worked in any position that paid into unemployment. So really just, there's so many areas. So just, and like the kind of expansion of access to, different areas of food, shelter, safety, basic necessities of human life. If you see someone is struggling to get access to that, I hope you'll use your voice to help other individuals gain access to those spaces that they're struggling with.
Well, thank you so much,
of course,
my friend, for joining me tonight. I have to, I'm going to embarrass you and turn your every shade of red now, but I do have to tell you all, you never know what somebody's going through on the inside because of just what they appear on the outside. So I had gone through a really difficult time a few months ago, and I was supposed to go to this conference in Louisville, and I was terrified to go to this conference, especially by myself. Nobody at that time was going with me, and Tara happened to be going to the same conference, and I reached out to her and I said, I'm really nervous about going to this conference by myself because I'm a hot mess right now. And she said, I totally have your back. And she did the whole time we were there. And I just felt like we bonded. And you're such a good human, a good person. Even though you have these big weapons, you have a beautiful heart. And even though she has big bad weapons, I promise you she's as lovely as could be. And so please support our local artists. support Stage Combat of North Carolina. They do classes, so if this like really got you
We do.
and you are ready to learn how to do this with weapons and get certified and are seeking professionals to teach you, Tara, Heather Strickland, Jeff Jones, I know I'm going to forget names, but they are all working with Stage Combat, and I'll put a link so people can find you guys.
Yay, yeah, and obviously right now we don't know if when we're coming back into physical spaces, because we want to maintain safety, and we're very strictly following these ordinances of shelter in place. But we'll be posting things on our social medias as we know kind of what our next steps are going to look like.
And I will post Tara's side of the fight on our TikTok and on our social media platforms. And so please record your side of the fight and post them back to us. Tag RDU on stage, tag Stage Combat of North Carolina if you'd like, tag Tara. Let's just keep everyone engaged and in contact with each other, because that's what this is all about. So thank you so much. I feel energized now. I feel ready to go.
Yay!
Very empowered.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And I'm taking
Good.
the day off.
Everyone is.
Everybody have a good Easter. I will be back here on Monday. I have some super exciting things coming up on Monday, so I'm going to go ahead and plug them now so you all will watch. At 12 o'clock noon, I will be having lunch online with Elizabeth Doran, who is the CEO of North Carolina Theater, and she's lovely. So if you've never heard Elizabeth talk, she will inspire us and really calm us down. She's such a soothing person. So I think you'll really enjoy that conversation. Okay, fun fact, I am a huge Project Runway fan. I have been watching since season 1. One of my favorite designers is Austin Scarlett. He designed the corn dress, people. And he will be joining me Monday at 5. I will totally try not to nerd out, but I'm so excited about this right now. So please join me in Austin. Some people have asked, like, what does he have to do with North Carolina? Fun fact, he lives here and he designed the costumes for the Rebecca show, which I can't wait to see at Pure Life Theater when everything reopens. So please join Austin and I for a conversation. I promise I'll try to act like a normal person and not be too starstruck. I make no guarantees. If you watch the interview with Robert Newman, you know, no guarantees here. And then Monday night, Tim Locklear, Jesse Gephardt, who has become a very good interviewer. He is like wearing the James Lipton hat right now. He's going to be interviewing Tim Locklear, and Tim has a huge announcement to make right here on RDU on stage. Spoiler alert, you want to know what the mystery show is? We got you covered. So Monday, come back and join us. Everybody have a good Easter, have a good weekend, have a good holiday. Thank you, Tara.
Thank you, and thank you.
Virtual hugs. Virtual